Do you feel it? The silent hum of a mind at war with itself. It's that second, third, and 10th guess that paralyzes you before a simple decision. It's the ghost of a conversation from yesterday replayed on a hellish loop, searching for a different outcome that will never come. This isn't thinking, this is a sickness, a mental prison you built brick by brick, where the warden is a voice that sounds suspiciously like your own. It's the exhaustion you feel before the day has even begun, drained. Not by action, but by the endless rehearsal for a life you are too afraid to live. This is the weight of overthinking, and it is crushing you. That battlefield is your own mind, warrior. The arena is the quiet moment before you fall asleep, when the noise gets loudest. It's the blank page of an important email you rewrite a dozen times. It's the crossroad where every path is shrouded in a fog of what-ifs. And in that fog, the enemy whispers its sweet, venomous lie. Just think about it a little longer, it says. You need to be 100% certain. One wrong move and everything is ruined. It presents cowardice as wisdom. It dresses paralysis in the robes of prudence. It convinces you that the symptom, the anxiety from endless thinking, can be cured by more of the disease. This lie is the most effective saboteur you will ever face. It has turned your greatest asset, your analytical mind, into your heaviest chain. While you are lost in the labyrinth of hypothetical futures, the world is moving. Opportunities are passing. Life is happening to other people. You are becoming a spectator in your own existence, a theorist of a life that demands a practitioner. The cost of this inaction is not just missed promotions or delayed projects. It is the slow erosion of your soul. It is the hollowing out of your self-respect, replaced by a constant low-grade frustration with the person you see in the mirror. What if I told you there is an antidote to this poison? Not a gentle mantra or a flimsy positive thinking platitude that shatters at the first sign of pressure. I'm talking about a code, a set of laws forged in the fire of the Roman Empire by a man who faced exile, political treachery, and his own death warrant with an unbreakable mind. This is the arsenal of Seneca. This is Stoicism, not as a philosophy to be debated in a classroom, but as a weapon to be wielded on the battlefield of your mind. It is a surgical tool designed for one purpose: to crush the tyranny of your own thoughts. In the minutes that follow, we are not going to talk. We are going to forge. We will take the raw iron of your undisciplined mind and hammer it into a weapon. I will deliver to you the 11 iron laws of Seneca, a brutal, practical protocol designed to obliterate analysis paralysis and reclaim your mental sovereignty. Each law is a hammer blow against the prison walls. Each principle is a step out of the fog and into the clear, cold reality of action. This is not about feeling better. It is about becoming better. It is about becoming unbreakable. Before we lift the first hammer, prove your commitment. Warriors do not enter the arena half-heartedly. Subscribe to this channel and strike the like button. This is your declaration of war against weakness. Then go to the comments and write your battle cry, a simple phrase of power that will guide you. It can be, "Action is clarity," or "My mind is a tool, not a tyrant." This is your first act of defiance. This is the first step to silencing the noise forever. Do it now. Let's be clear, warrior. This state of constant mental churn is not a personality quirk. It is a disease. A modern plague of the mind, born from an age of infinite information and zero conviction. Your mind, the greatest weapon you possess, has been turned against you. It has become a parasite, feeding on your energy, your time, and your potential. It doesn't build, it only spins. It doesn't solve, it only complicates. It creates intricate, beautiful, logical prisons for you to inhabit. And the most terrifying part is that you have become a willing inmate, mistaking the bars for a safety net. Look at your body. It is the first casualty in this internal war. You feel it in your bones, don't you? The acid of cortisol flooding your system not from a real threat, but from a phantom scenario your mind created at 3 a.m. The shallow breaths, the clenched jaw, the shoulders permanently braced for an impact that never comes. You are physically exhausted from battles that were never fought outside the confines of your own skull. Your body is paying the price for the mind's indulgence. It is a machine forced to redline while sitting in neutral, burning precious fuel and wearing down its own engine for absolutely nothing. Now look at your career. Your desk is a graveyard of brilliant ideas and half-finished projects. Each one was a potential masterpiece, strangled in its cradle by the relentless pursuit of the perfect plan. While you were lost in the labyrinth of flowcharts and risk assessments, someone else, someone less talented, less intelligent, but more decisive, simply began. They made mistakes, they adapted, and now they are where you dream of being. Your thoroughness is a mask for your terror. The world doesn't reward the best plan, it rewards the executed plan. Your inaction is a declaration to the world that you are not a builder, but a dreamer. A theorist in an arena that demands warriors. And what about your relationships? The people you love get the ghost of you. They are speaking to you, sharing their lives, and you are nodding, but you are not there. You are a million miles away, replaying a clumsy sentence from a meeting 2 days ago, or pre-calculating every possible outcome of a conversation you need to have tomorrow. This isn't presence, it's an insult. Your mental noise is so loud, it drowns out the heartbeat of your own life. You are sacrificing connection, intimacy, and love at the altar of a hypothetical problem. You are alone in a room full of people, a prisoner of a war no one else can see. The most insidious part of this sickness is how it disguises itself as a virtue. The inner critic, that venomous voice of weakness, whispers, "This is just who you are. You're a perfectionist, you're detail-oriented, you're just being responsible." This is the greatest lie you tell yourself. Perfectionism is not a standard, it is a shield. It is the most sophisticated form of fear ever invented by the human mind. It is the fear of being judged, the fear of making a mistake, the fear of being seen as anything less than flawless. It is the coward's claim to high standards, a beautiful justification for a life spent hiding. You've tried to fix it, haven't you? You downloaded the mindfulness apps that tell you to observe your thoughts like they are clouds in the sky. You tried the positive affirmations that feel like paper shields in a hurricane. You wrote in journals, hoping to drain the poison onto the page. But these are children's toys against a seasoned killer. They are attempts to politely negotiate with a tyrant who only understands force. You cannot soothe this disease. You cannot outlogic it. You must starve it. You must crush it. You must replace the entire corrupt operating system with a code of iron. So here you stand, at a crossroads. One path leads deeper into the fog, a life of quiet desperation where your potential slowly suffocates under the weight of what if. The other path is hard. It is steep. It demands that you declare war on the weakest parts of yourself. The cost of inaction is no longer some distant, abstract concept. It is the very soul you feel eroding day by day. It is the slow suicide of the warrior you were meant to be. The clock is ticking, and life will not wait for you to feel certain. The battle for your mind begins now. You think this war in your head is a product of the modern world? You think the anxiety humming under your skin is some new 21st century affliction. That is a comforting lie. It allows you to blame your phone, the news, the culture, anything but the true source. The truth is far older and far more personal. 2,000 years ago, in the blood and marble of Rome, the Stoics diagnosed your condition with terrifying precision. They saw this sickness of the soul spreading even then. They knew that the human mind, left unchecked, will always build its own prisons. This isn't a modern problem, warrior. It's a human one. You're not fighting a new enemy, you are fighting the oldest ghost in the machine. The Stoics called the command center of your mind the hegemonikon, the ruling faculty. It is supposed to be your inner emperor, calm, rational, decisive. Its only job is to judge impressions, assent to what is true, and direct your will toward virtuous action. But your emperor has abdicated the throne. It has been replaced by a frantic, paranoid council of ghosts, a committee of what-ifs and should-haves that scream and debate and veto every command. Your ruling faculty is no longer ruling. It is ruminating. It has turned its incredible power of analysis inward, not to solve problems in the world, but to dissect itself into a state of paralysis. This is the great Stoic tragedy, when the mind, our greatest weapon, becomes a self-consuming fire. Here is the diagnosis, stripped bare. The source of this fire is a single, catastrophic failure of perception. You have forgotten how to distinguish what is in your control from what is not. The Stoics gave us a blade for this, a principle so sharp it can sever reality in two. On one side, your thoughts, your judgments, your actions, that is your kingdom. It is small, but it is absolute. On the other side, everything else, the past, the future, the economy, what other people think of you, that is foreign territory. Overthinking is the act of abandoning your kingdom to wage a bloody, pointless war in foreign lands. You are trying to command the weather, you are trying to dictate the tides, and you are exhausting yourself in a battle you were guaranteed to lose before it even began. Seneca, a man who stared down the madness of emperors, wrote the definitive field report on this internal enemy. He said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Read that again, not as a piece of gentle wisdom, but as a brutal accusation. Most of your suffering is a choice. It is a product of a mind that has been given permission to run wild, to create monsters in the dark, and then tremble before them. You are not responding to the world as it is. You are responding to 1,000 nightmare versions of it that you have meticulously crafted in your head. You have become the architect of your own personal hell, and then you have the audacity to complain about the heat. The Stoics knew that the undisciplined imagination is the most effective torture device ever created. And yes, the modern world has poured gasoline on this ancient fire. The Stoics had to contend with rumor and political intrigue. You have to contend with a fire hose of global information pumped into your skull through a glowing screen. Every scroll is a new comparison. Every notification is a potential crisis. Every headline is a reason to feed the beast of anxiety. Your phone is not just a tool. It is a delivery system for mental chaos, perfectly engineered to exploit your mind's ancient weakness. It presents you with a million variables you cannot control, and a million hypothetical lives you are not living, all while whispering the lie that you should be able to manage it all. It has weaponized the foreign territories against you, making it almost impossible to stay within the borders of your own kingdom. The most dangerous part of this disease is that it masquerades as diligence. The mind, in its frantic spinning, feels like it is working. It feels like it is preparing, strategizing, problem-solving. This is the ultimate illusion. The Stoics would call it a false impression, a distorted judgment that you have accepted as truth. You are mistaking the activity of thought for the achievement of progress. It is the equivalent of a soldier endlessly polishing his rifle in the barracks while the battle rages outside. It feels like preparation, it looks like discipline, but it is just a sophisticated form of cowardice. You are not solving the problem. You are hiding from the simple, terrifying, and necessary actions required to face it. So that is the enemy unmasked, an ancient flaw in the human operating system, a failure to stay within our circle of control, supercharged by a world designed to pull us out of it. It is a tyrant that justifies its rule by pretending to be a protector, But this diagnosis is not a death sentence, warrior. It is a target. Understanding the nature of the poison is the first step toward forging the antidote. The Stoics did not just diagnose the disease. They engineered the cure. They created a protocol of ironclad laws and brutal mental disciplines designed to retake the throne of your mind. Now that you have seen the enemy clearly, we will begin to build the weapons to destroy it. The forge is hot. The hammer is ready. Here it is, the first law, the bedrock of the entire Stoic arsenal, and the one that will begin to tear down the walls of your mental prison. It is not a suggestion. It is not a philosophy for quiet contemplation. It is an operational command, as brutal and as non-negotiable as gravity. Engrave this on the inside of your skull, warrior, until it is the lens through which you see the world. The iron law of sovereignty. You must distinguish with ruthless clarity between the kingdom you command and the foreign lands you do not. All your suffering, every ounce of your anxiety, is born from the war you wage in foreign territory. Let's define your kingdom. It is brutally small. It is the only patch of ground in the entire universe where your authority is absolute. It consists of only three things: your thoughts, your judgments, and your actions. That's it. Your perception of events, the principles you choose to live by, and the movements you make in this moment. This is your fortress. Within these walls, you are emperor. You are the sole commander. Nothing and no one can force you to think a thought you do not choose, to hold a belief you do not accept, or to take an action you do not will. This kingdom is your only true source of power, and it has been neglected, left to crumble, its ruler absent. Now, look at the foreign lands. This is everything else. The past is a graveyard of moments you cannot change. The future is an ocean of possibilities you cannot predict. The economy, the weather, a traffic jam, what your boss thinks of you, whether someone replies to your text. These are foreign nations. They have their own rulers, their own laws, their own chaotic weather patterns. You have zero jurisdiction here. You are not their king. You are not their god. To believe you can command these territories through the sheer force of your thinking is the definition of insanity. It is the act of standing on a beach and screaming at the tide to turn back. And here is your crime, warrior, the great treason from which all your weakness flows. Overthinking is the act of abandoning your kingdom. You desert your post as emperor of your own mind to become a powerless, terrified refugee in the foreign lands. You spend your energy, your life force trying to rewrite the past. You exhaust your will trying to script the future. You become obsessed with the internal politics of other people's minds, a territory you can never, ever conquer. You have left the gates of your own fortress wide open while you fight bloody, pointless phantom wars in lands that were never yours to begin with. The result? Your own kingdom falls into ruin while you are lost in the fog of what if. Your true power, your ability to act in the present, atrophies. Your judgment, the emperor's most trusted advisor, becomes clouded by fear and speculation. Your will, the commander of your armies, becomes hesitant and paralyzed. You are so busy being a terrible strategist for 1,000 imaginary battles that you have forgotten how to be a king in the one battle that is real. The battle for your own mind. Right here, right now. Your anxiety is the sound of your neglected kingdom crying out for its ruler to return. Your first duty as a Stoic warrior, starting this second, is to become the ruthless sentry at the gate of your own mind. Every single thought that arises must be challenged. It must present its passport. You must look it square in the eye and ask one brutal question: do you concern my kingdom or the foreign lands? Does this thought pertain to my actions, my choices, my judgments right now? Or does it pertain to an outcome I cannot control, a past I cannot change, a person I cannot command? There is no middle ground, there is no negotiation. If the thought belongs to the foreign lands, it is an invader. It is a spy. It is poison, and it must be expelled. Not analyzed, not debated, but cast out without ceremony. This is not a passive observation, warrior. This is an active, violent sorting. At first, it will feel like a war. 99% of your thoughts will be revealed as illegal immigrants, squatters in your mind from foreign territories. Expel them. Your mind will scream, arguing that these thoughts are important, that you need to worry about the future, that you must dissect the past. This is the sound of the tyrant fighting for its throne. Do not listen. Your only loyalty is to your kingdom. Your only task is to guard the border. This is the first, most brutal step to silencing the noise. You do not win the war by fighting in the chaos. You win by returning to your fortress, locking the gates, and reclaiming your throne. A law is nothing but ink on a page until it is enforced. A principle is a hollow echo until it is forged into the steel of your daily life. The iron law of sovereignty is not a comforting idea to be contemplated. It is a hammer to be swung. And the world, warrior, will provide the anvil. Every moment of frustration, every pang of pain, every whisper of weakness is an opportunity to strike the hot iron of your character and reshape it. The transformation does not happen in quiet meditation. It happens in the fire of reality. Now we take this law out of the realm of theory and into the blood and sweat of your existence. We will teach you how to wield it. Let's begin with the hot, red poison of anger. A driver cuts you off. A colleague dismisses your idea. Someone you trust betrays you. The immediate impulse is a surge of fire, a righteous indignation that feels powerful. But this is an illusion. Your anger is a declaration of your powerlessness. You are allowing an event in the foreign lands, an action you did not control, to seize the throne of your kingdom. The Stoic warrior applies the law like a splash of ice water. The event is external. It is finished. It is ash. What remains is your judgment. You can choose the judgment. I have been wronged, and my peace must be sacrificed to this injustice. Or you can choose the sovereign judgment. That person's actions belong to them. My tranquility belongs to me. I will not surrender my kingdom for their chaos. You reclaim your power not by changing them, but by refusing to let them change you. Now we face a greater beast, pain, physical suffering, a broken heart, the sting of loss. The world will tell you to rage against it, to curse your fate. This is the path of the victim. The iron law offers a different path, the path of the warrior. The first arrow of pain is inevitable. The injury happens, the loss occurs. This is an external fact from the foreign lands. But the second arrow, the arrow of suffering, is one you fire at yourself. It is the story you tell about the pain. This is unbearable. My life is ruined. I will never recover. This story, this judgment, is entirely within your kingdom. The Stoic does not deny the first arrow's sting. They simply refuse to fire the second. They focus on what they control, how they endure, how they find meaning in the struggle, and the next step they will take, no matter how small. Your duty is not to feel no pain, but to refuse to be conquered by it. And what of that quiet saboteur, that creeping fog of laziness and procrastination? You face a difficult task, and your mind immediately flees to the foreign lands of the future. What if I fail? What if it's not perfect? What if people judge me? You are paralyzed by ghosts. The iron law drags you back to the brutal reality of your kingdom. The outcome of the task is not your concern. The judgment of others is not your territory. The only thing in the entire universe you command right now is the action itself. Your duty is not to write the perfect report. It is to write one sentence. Your responsibility is not to have a life-changing workout. It is to put on your shoes. You apply the law by ruthlessly shrinking the battlefield until it is so small, so immediate, that there is no room for fear to breathe. You focus only on the movement, the single keystroke, the first step. The rest is noise. Here is your weapon made practical. We call it the 5-minute action mandate. This is the physical ritual that enforces the iron law. The next time your mind is caught in a loop of worry or indecision, a storm of thought about the foreign lands, you stop. You halt the internal debate. You look the thought in the eye and you issue a command. What is the single, smallest, most immediate physical action I can take related to this problem right now? Not a plan, not a list, an action. Is it sending a one-sentence email? Is it putting a single dish in the dishwasher? Is it doing one push-up? Identify it. And then you give yourself exactly 5 minutes to either do it or to open your calendar and schedule a precise time to do it. This is not a negotiation. It is a mandate. This is the moment the prison walls dissolve, warrior. When you execute that tiny action, something shifts. The crushing weight on your chest lightens. The mental fog begins to lift. Why? The problem is not solved. The future is still uncertain. But you have performed the most powerful act a human being can. You have reclaimed your agency. You have abandoned the phantom war in the foreign lands and returned to your throne. You have reminded your own mind who is in command. The anxiety was never about the problem itself. It was about your feeling of powerlessness in the face of it. Action, no matter how small, is the antidote to that powerlessness. It is the definitive cure for the poison of overthinking. This is the great Stoic secret, the key turn that changes everything. Clarity is not a product of thought. Clarity is a byproduct of action. You cannot think your way out of a mental prison you thought yourself into. You must act your way out. You must move. The endless search for the perfect plan is not a quest for certainty. It is a profound fear of taking the first step. The 5-minute action mandate is your permanent answer to that fear. It is your declaration that you will no longer be a theorist of your own life. You are a practitioner. You are a builder. You are a warrior. You will trade the comfort of speculation for the cold, hard, beautiful reality of movement. Your mind is no longer a chamber of debate. It is the command center for the only thing that matters, what you do next. And so, the hammer falls for the final time. The iron cools. Look at what you have become. The first thing you notice is the silence, not an empty silence, but a clean, powerful quiet. The constant, high-pitched whine of anxiety that was the soundtrack to your life. It's gone. You used to wake up already exhausted, your mind having run a marathon of nightmare scenarios while you slept. Now you wake up, and for a few glorious seconds, there is nothing but the simple, solid reality of the new day. You have not banished thought. You have dethroned the tyrant. Your mind is no longer a chaotic riot. It is a disciplined legion, silent and ready, awaiting its commander's orders. This is not emptiness, warrior. This is sovereignty. Decisions no longer appear as monsters in the fog. Remember the old you? Paralyzed before the simplest choice, terrified of the 1,000 phantom futures that could spring from one wrong move. That person is dead. Now, you see a choice for what it is, a path. Not the right path or the wrong path, but simply a direction to move. The obsession with a perfect outcome has been replaced by a quiet confidence in your ability to handle any outcome. You have traded the brittle illusion of certainty for the unbreakable reality of your own resilience. You move, you adapt, you overcome. The world is no longer a minefield to be navigated with infinite caution. It is an arena to be conquered with decisive action. This is not recklessness. This is freedom. Feel it in your body. The poison has been purged. The clenched jaw has released. The shoulders, once permanently braced for an impact that never came, have dropped. You breathe deeper. You stand taller. The acid of chronic stress no longer burns in your gut. Sleep is no longer an escape from the noise. It is a deep, restorative process that recharges a mind at peace. Your physical energy, once squandered on 1,000 internal, pointless battles, is now a vast reservoir, ready to be deployed into the world. You have become a unified force. Your mind and body are no longer at war. They are a single, integrated weapon system, calm, efficient, and lethal in its focus. Look at the world around you. It responds to the new frequency you emit. At work, you are no longer the theorist in the corner, endlessly refining a plan that never sees the light of day. You are the executor. You are the one who acts while others are still debating. They mistake your decisiveness for genius, but you know the truth. It is simply discipline. You are not smarter than them. You are just no longer a slave to the fear that holds them captive. You have stopped asking for permission from your own anxiety. You have become a force of nature, and the world cannot help but make way for a warrior who knows where they are going. The people you love finally have you back. The real you, not the distracted ghost who nodded and smiled while their mind was 1,000,000 miles away, fighting phantom wars. You are present now, truly present. When you listen, you are not just waiting for your turn to speak. You are absorbing. When you are with your family, you are with them. You are not troubleshooting tomorrow's meeting or replaying yesterday's awkward conversation. You are here, now. This presence is the most powerful gift you can offer. It is the currency of real connection, and you finally have an infinite supply because you are no longer bankrupting yourself on mental speculation. The inner critic, that venomous saboteur that once held the throne, it has been starved into submission. It may still whisper from the dark corners of your mind, but its voice is weak, pathetic. It has no power here anymore. You have learned to distinguish its cowardly warnings from the true voice of your principles. You no longer fear mistakes. A mistake is not a verdict on your worth. It is simply data. It is the raw material from which wisdom is forged. The crippling need for perfection has been replaced by a relentless drive for progress. You are no longer trying to build a flawless statue. You are hammering a functional battle-scarred weapon, and every dent tells a story of a battle won. This is the inevitable result of the forge, warrior. You are not the same person who first stepped into this fire. That person was a prisoner, convinced the bars of their own mind were a safety net. You are the warden. That person was a slave to 1,000 hypothetical futures. You are the master of this single, real moment. You did not find a secret to stop thinking. You reclaimed your authority to direct it. The war is over, not because the enemy has vanished, but because you finally realized the enemy was a ghost you kept feeding. You have starved the ghost, and in its place, a warrior has been born. This is your new reality. Earned, forged, unbreakable. Talk is cheap, warrior. Philosophy is a ghost until it is given flesh and bone through action. You have heard the laws. You have seen the enemy. Now, we forge the weapon you will carry into battle every single day. This is not a concept to be memorized. It is a drill to be executed until it is as reflexive as breathing. This is the ritual that turns a prisoner into a warrior. We call it the 5-minute mandate, and it is the physical manifestation of your reclaimed sovereignty. It is the hammer you will use to shatter the chains of overthinking, one link at a time, starting now. The signal for this ritual is the feeling you know all too well. It is the fog, that familiar, cold, paralyzing mist that descends on your mind when you face a task, a decision, or a difficult conversation. It's the hum of anxiety, the endless loop of what-ifs, the feeling of being mentally stuck in thick mud. From this day forward, you will recognize that fog not as a part of you, but as an enemy attack. It is a chemical assault launched by your own weakness to keep you paralyzed. The moment you feel it, the drill begins. This is not a time for negotiation. It is a call to arms. Your first duty is to see the fog not as a state to be endured, but as a target to be destroyed. The second the fog descends, you halt the internal debate. You stop the trial. You look the phantom in the eye, and you issue a command in the form of a question. A question so sharp and so specific it cuts through the noise like a razor. You will ask yourself, out loud if you must, what is the single, smallest, most immediate physical action I can take related to this problem right now? Let's dissect this weapon. Single, because it obliterates the overwhelming vision of the entire project. Smallest, because it makes the step so ridiculously easy that your fear has no excuse to veto it. Physical, because it forces you out of the ghost world of thought and into the real world of movement. And right now, because it is a declaration of war on the lie of later. Once you have identified that single tiny action, you invoke the mandate. You take out your phone, you open the timer, and you set it for 5 minutes. This is non-negotiable. This is the law. For the next 300 seconds, your entire universe shrinks to this one task. You have 2, and only 2, acceptable outcomes. 1, you complete the action. You send the one-sentence email. You wash the single dish. You write the first line of code. 2, if the action cannot be done in that moment, you use those 5 minutes to open your calendar and schedule a precise, unbreakable appointment to do it. You turn a vague worry into a concrete logistical entry. There is no third option. Thinking more about it is treason. Hesitation is desertion. You act or you schedule the act. The mandate is absolute. The moment the timer goes off and the action is done or scheduled, I want you to pay attention. Notice the shift. The problem isn't solved. The future is still uncertain, but the fog, it's lifting. The crushing weight on your chest has lightened. Why? Because you have reclaimed your agency. You have reminded the tyrant in your mind who is in command. You have moved from being a passive victim of your thoughts to an active commander of your actions. The anxiety was never about the problem itself. It was about your perceived powerlessness. Action, no matter how microscopic, is the antidote to powerlessness. It is the proof that you are not stuck. It is the first taste of true mental freedom. This is not a one-time trick, warrior. This is your new discipline. This is your daily practice. Every time you feel the fog, you run the drill. Every time you execute the mandate, you are doing one more repetition, building the muscle of decisiveness. The first time it will feel forced. The 10th time, it will feel natural. The 100th time, it will be who you are. You are forging a new neurological pathway, a reflex that chooses action over anxiety. This is the work. This is how you starve the ghost and feed the warrior. This is how you take back your mind, not by fighting the thoughts, but by making them irrelevant through your relentless, disciplined, and immediate action. And so, the hammer falls for the final time. The iron cools. Look at what you have become. You stepped into this forge a prisoner, convinced the bars of your own mind were a safety net. You leave it a warrior, holding the very hammer that shattered the cage. We did not come here to learn a philosophy. We came here to reclaim a kingdom. We did not discuss ideas. We forged a weapon. The endless phantom war you were fighting is over, not because you found a brilliant strategy, but because you finally saw the truth. The enemy was a ghost you kept feeding with your fear. You have learned to starve the ghost. The laws are not theories to be debated. They are your new operating system. First, the iron law of sovereignty. You are the absolute ruler of your thoughts, judgments, and actions, and nothing else. You will no longer wage pointless wars in the foreign lands of the past, the future, or other people's minds. Your fortress is your will, and you will guard its gates with ruthless discipline. Second, the 5-minute mandate. You now know that clarity is not born from thought, but forged in action. You will no longer wait for certainty. You will move, and in that movement, you will find your answer. This is your code. It is simple, it is brutal, and it is unbreakable. This is not the end of your battle, warrior. It is the beginning of your reign. The fog will try to creep back in. The old voices of weakness will whisper from the shadows. They will never be completely silent, but they no longer have power here. You are the commander now. You hold the weapon, and you carry the decree that will silence them every single time. Engrave this on your soul. Let it be the first thing you remember in the morning and the last thing you affirm at night. Your final decree is this: thought builds the cage, action breaks the bars. Your discipline is not a momentary feeling. It is a daily practice. If this battle has ignited the fire of the warrior within you, then prove it now. Your first command is to go to the comments and write the phrase that will guide your next 24 hours. Make it your public declaration of war against weakness. It can be the decree, action breaks the bars, or your own. Forge your words into a weapon. This is your oath. Share this calling with another warrior who is trapped in the fog and needs to be awakened. Subscribe to this channel to continue forging your mind into an unbreakable weapon. The work is never finished. Discipline is daily. We will see you in the arena.